Right guys, I've now committed to my design and I've stuck the elements down. I've used a Pritt stick, as you can see, but you can use anything you've got at home that would be an adhesive. Even a bit of sticky tape would do the job. So there are things now I need to do. So if I look at this section here where the mushroom is, I will need to connect the noodle design behind it. I might add more of these very long slender mushrooms in here. I used these in the end instead of those really thin carrots. I thought they were nicer in this section with mushrooms. I did draw myself another mushroom but decided not to use it. I just couldn't get it to work quite as well in the design. Over here I've tried to layer up these chilies, but again I get that same problem that I need to go back into it. This one I had worked up. I traced these ones from that one with a little bit of variation, and now I need to go back into them. In each case I'm putting a couple of seeds in, one from the side, one from the end, and then working up the line. So at this point, what I'd spend a bit of time doing now is developing the drawing. You can see areas where I've used tracing paper on top of regular paper. This line wouldn't obviously be evident in the final design. It's a bit tricky to remove something because it's showing through from the layer below, but I might just draw it a bit firmer so it becomes a bit clearer. Like I say, this is the final design that I'm working on now. I've just come back to you to show you what I was talking about before, about where you could see previously very clearly the tracing paper and the image below. Because I've drawn around this with a much more even line, this is quite an even outline. It's the outline we talked about on Bart Simpson. It's a very, very clear line now. Because I'm working out the design, that's what I'm looking at. But the overlap now becomes less evident and it doesn't bother me. Just a couple of other things while we're here. I've added in a few more of these spring onion shapes, quite like the interlocking pattern. I might add another one yet into there. And I've drawn in these mushrooms. At the moment I've plotted in that curve, it's not very neat, so I'm going to go back and re-edit it. Right, you can begin to see now that I've drawn over all the items, adding a little bit more detail. The last thing I've just done is start to add these sesame seeds, which adds a little bit of a pattern across the whole dish. I don't want to put them everywhere, but I am exploring options. Sometimes you think something just could do a little bit of something in it. That area looks quite bland, but I don't just want to whack one into the middle of it. You can't see what I'm drawing, my hand's in the way. Just exploring different options. I've put a few on to items of food as well, just trying things out. Now I've also thought that I might like some more noodles into the dish, so on my tracing paper from earlier on I had done that 5-6 pencil thing, and I'm now exploring the idea of reintroducing them behind here. So using the tracing technique, if you see those other videos, I'm going to transfer a little bit more pattern into it and then draw it in. Right, now I've just traced that line. I positioned it, I went over the paper on the back and I've turned it over and I've drawn it in. And now let's have a little look. Just between these lines you can see the very, very faint traced mark that I will now draw over, and hopefully this will finalise the design. Finally, I'm going to show you what we've done now. We've added the lines over the top of the traced marks. I connected them to the edge of the bowl as I'd done previously. Whilst that does not make a lot of sense in terms of a bowl of noodles, it visually works as part of this design. Now I can sit and look at this design and I can think it's very, very busy, but this particular type of dish is. I've done things like introduce the sesame seeds, which adds a lot of visual detail, and some of you might not like that. That's absolutely fine. You need to think about what you like as you're going along and make your own preferences and try and work out why. If you look here, this section I repeated over there. So I'm trying to repeat elements and think about the pace of things, the kind of flow, how things relate to each other within this particular dish. At this point, I'm going to give you a piece of old sage advice. It's time to walk away. It's time to put your pencil down and go and do something else for a little while. The things that are bothering you and irritating you, maybe little teeny elements of the drawing, at the moment, you're focusing in on that particular area. When you walk away and come back a little bit later, those things won't be as important in your mind. You'll be able to look at the design as a whole. You'll be able to evaluate if you are happy and if you want to make any reflective changes later.